Okay, the session is being recorded. That means that officially we are in the class week 9. Since I'm going to cover this recording session and I'm going to share with the multiple units. So, good afternoon to everyone who are going to watch this recording behind this tutorial class. So before I invite our guest speaker from industry, who is also an entrepreneur, to introduce herself, I would like to go with the acknowledgements of the country. So we respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owner of the land on which we are meeting today. So if you're joining us, I would like to pay respects to the elders and past, present, to all the traditional owners of the land that you are also joining, and hope that is going to be our ongoing conversation to build on this conversation and exchange the ideas between us and all this valuable knowledge. And with that, I would like to go to the agenda, the outline for today. So, of course, shortly I'm going to invite our guest speaker, Hansi, which kindly accepted to cover this session. So I'm going to invite her to introduce herself. So we would like with Hansi today to share a bit of her career journey and leadership role. And of course, since she is involved with acting as an industry that we are working with them. So I would like her to introduce that company and some of the potential, opportunities from their company. Also, she is the founder of her own innovative space and startup. So I would like also her to give us some a brief about that innovative idea and how that might be linked to something that we could actually support you in the same area. And yeah, basically this bring us to the end where we could have kind of a Q&A, and maybe we could come up with a key takeaways messages, and wrap up the session. And with that, I would like to bring and invite our guest speaker, Hansi, who is coming from our ongoing collaborative partner from Insurance Australia Group, IAG, to introduce herself. And thank you so much, Hansi.
Thanks, Beta, and thanks everyone for having me today here. So as Beta mentioned, my name is Hansi, and I'm the founder of You2Mentor. I'm also working as a demand and resource optimization specialist as part of Insurance Australia Group. It's a bit surreal talking to you guys here, because some time ago I was sitting where you are, full of ideas, some nerves, a lot of hope, and this unspoken pressure to figure it all out. So today I'm not really gonna give you a perfectly polished list of career tips, because you can Google that. I want to tell you my story and what it taught me about success, failure, and the finance industry, as well as part of being there is also a day-to-day, as part of the day-to-day role. You had to do recruitment, and we all see the potential rise of AI. Day to day, we see the changes. And for me, I think if you take away anything, I think the most important thing is resilience. So before I start, and I'm not quite sure how this works, but I have a question. And if you could show of hands, if it's a virtual hand, how many of you feel unsure about what you want to do after graduation? Yep. Can see one.
Do we want to answer that question, or Kevin, would you like to come up with your point, or is just raising hand?
And for now, if you can just
Is
raise
raising
hand.
hand. Yeah, no
Yeah,
worries.
yeah. And so it's the one, so that's pretty good. Has any of you had change your mind in terms of your career path? Again, if you could raise your hand, that would be good. Like during uni, have you ever changed your mind halfway through, at any time? No? Okay. Not really? Okay, no worries. Um, well, I certainly did. And when I started out, I also had a plan, finish uni, get a good job, build a solid career. And I did all that. But landing my first job, putting my head down, starting going through the process. But a few months in, I remember sitting on my desk and thinking, this is it. The job just didn't feel right. It didn't excite me. And if I'm honest, it scared me because I'd done everything that I was meant to do, but it just wasn't, I wasn't quite feeling that this is my path. So I made a career move that was completely different to the path that I was on. I thought it would launch me forward and, give me a hands-on experience from the industry itself because I was in academia beforehand. And it did do that. It also humbled me. I questioned my path more than once. I didn't get it right the first time or the second. But that's how I learned the most powerful career lesson, at least in my mind. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep moving. Soon after, I stepped into leadership roles. I was building teams, influencing company strategy, making decisions, including hiring. And while I wasn't in like recruitment teams, it became a big part of my world, spotting potential in people, developing people, shaping culture. And that's where I saw how many incredible, capable people were unsure of their own next steps. That seed, by the way, was eventually what grew into You2Mentor, but we'll get there. But right now, just remember that it's okay to be unsure. But it looks like, from the audience, everyone's quite know exactly where they're going. The go, but if you ever do come to that pivotal point, remember that the goal is progress, not perfection. If you ever heard of the song "Climb" by Miley Cyrus, I think that gives a good resonance of how we should embrace the journey and not just the end result. Let's fast forward to today. I work in the finance sector, and if there's one word I like to use, describe it right now, it's evolving. We are seeing a big shift in digital transformation, and that includes the use of AI, regulatory changes, especially around ESG, so environment, sustainability, and governance. And there's a large growth in fintech and its disruption to the industry as well. Traditional roles are disappearing. New ones are emerging. People aren't just looking for spreadsheets and suits anymore. They want meaning, ethics, and innovation. Some of you might have thought, being in finance could be boring, and that's fair because there's a lot that could be perceived that way, but it's changing. Today, not we just don't need just analysis, but problem solvers, communicators, and creative thinkers. And I think that becomes a big crux of what we look for when we are hiring new people to the company. So if you talk about recruitment, because I'm guessing for most of you that's front of mind in the coming year or so, how many of you have already started? And again, a show of hands, or happy for you to answer as well. How many of you have started applying for jobs or internships already? No, not yet. All right. So what I've learned is that mindset is everything. It's a very big part of it. You don't have to be perfect, but you just need to be willing to grow. Soft skills are gold. Communication, adaptability, and resilience will set you apart. And don't doubt that. Your first job isn't your forever job. It's your launch pad. Focus on learning, not landing the dream role. And here's something else that's important. Recruiters today are more open to nonlinear journeys, gaps, pivots, personal growth, all of that depth add to your story. So don't downplay it, own it. And don't just rely on job boards. Networking matters. A real conversation can open more doors than a perfectly written application. Because let's face it, recruiters are getting hundreds of applications for any roles. Like I've seen about 300 coming in just for one role. So networking is a really good way to kind of get in your resume in front of mind of the hiring manager. Now, if you look at AI, because it's already here. In finance, AI is doing everything from fraud detection to customer service chatbots. In recruitment, is scanning resumes, predicting fit. Even some of them I've heard are doing early stage interviews. Now, I'm guessing most of you have already used at least some sort of AI or large language model tool like ChatGPT or Midjourney. But would you consider that you understand how it works and how it impacts your day-to-day and how it helps, other than, I guess, a model that can help you write an article or a story or an essay? Yeah, more or less. Okay. AI is and I guess what matters is AI is not gonna, at least in the short to medium term, it's not gonna take over anyone's job, but someone who knows how to use AI definitely will, because it's becoming very integral part of day to day, and seeing how we can streamline work utilizing AI and agents as well. So get curious, learn how to prompt well, learn how to think creatively with AI, not fear it, because in the next 5 years, AI will be taking those repetitive tasks off your plate to leave you with more being able to influence the strategy, creative, and the human parts are what's going to be more useful, and that's what people are going to be, the hiring managers are going to be looking for. And that's where you will shine as well. So after all this, finance, leadership, team building, I kept noticing something. Smart, motivated people struggling to find the right guidance, not because they lack talent, but because they lack mentors, or real ones who'd been there, who walked that path before. So this is where You2Mentor was born, a platform that connects people with mentors who can help them navigate their career crossroads, build confidence, and learn from someone who's a few steps ahead, or people you can collaborate with who are, on the same path as you. So as part of working with You2Mentor as well, the pilot commenced over a year ago. And now at this stage, we are almost ready to launch the commercial version. And that should be available in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And also, just to keep in mind, it's not about having all the answers. It's about having someone who asks you the right questions so that you can actually start thinking as well. So that's what I'm building with the support from a few others, a space where, those questions are welcomed and where your voice matters, even if it shakes, even if you're not sure. So let me leave you with this. You might not get it right the first time. You might take a job that doesn't fit. You might get rejected. You might fail. That's okay. In fact, it's part of the journey, because your greatest skill won't be your degree, the score you get at the end of it, or even your resume. It's your ability to bounce back. So take the risk, ask for help, learn to reset, not just to restart. And remember, resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. The future isn't waiting for a perfect people. It's waiting for real ones who shows up, stay curious, and keep going. So I look forward to seeing what you guys build as well. So if you want to connect with me or connect with in terms of updates of You2Mentor, We'll put the links in the chat once I figure out how to do that. But feel free to ask me any questions. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Hansi. I guess I just raised my hand previously to ask you this question about the conversation around AI, because I guess we are coming from educational sector in academia, where we're really concerned about how students learning the fundamental knowledge before they moving in some cases, in some areas. For example, the research students in the beginning of their journey of the research are required to go through the steps to access to the the searching the data through the website, finding the actual through this authentic activity, find their references, read the references, come with a summary, come with the highlights, and come with a that critical thinking, how these pieces of their current knowledge might be linked to the gap, where they can set the questions and where they come with the design to answer the question. So I guess my concern around this, how are students from your experience and perspective, because you mentioned definitely AI is something that the industry are looking, and at university we ask our students, okay, if you use it, you need to confirm and what aspect of that used. So I just want to avoid any confusion for our students. If there is something different in academia and in industry, we make that clarification that I guess, yeah, I guess that concern around what you suggested, that would be something that our students require, that are skills from the AI. So how do you think that we should communicate that with our students during their learning?
So just to clarify, is it more is the question more related to when you're using AI in industry, that you have to kind of have a disclaimer saying that this is
Mm.
produced by
Yeah,
AI?
maybe some example of what you have seen and experienced using of the AI in your industry setting, where we can again convince our students, okay, go through the learning steps, then once you are the master, for example, of searching something, then start using of AI. So that's kind of a setting we use in our practice in educational sector. So I just want to adapt between what we ask our students and what you are going to expect from students in the industry.
Yeah, fair enough. What I'm seeing right now is that we are looking at how AI can actually help facilitate the day-to-day jobs. And what that means is that yes, when you first start a role, you start with the fundamentals. You have to understand that, because you don't want some kind of tool to help you, and then if everything breaks, because for example, don't have access to the tool, then you don't know what to do. So it's always important to know how to do it yourself first. And AI is a tool more in terms of a time-saving tool. For example, I've just recently applied using large language models in IAG, where we can see how can we triage new projects instead of manually going through them and seeing if the enough information is there. What if AI was to do that? So that's something we are trialing. We are also trialing within the organization in terms of how do we make, like with the Copilot and stuff, and with a lot of with what's coming in Microsoft, it helps with creating PowerPoints and etc. So these are PowerPoints, sadly, is one of the tools we use a lot in terms of any kind of a presentation, and we tend to have a lot. So and it takes a lot of time. I'm sure you guys would know, it can be a bit fiddly, you want to make it look nice and everything as well, and to the point. So using these tools helps with time. So it's more of a, right now it's being used as a more of a time-saving tool in terms of the day-to-day stuff. But then in the background, that organizations are looking at, okay, how do we make it more efficient? How do we, like, in terms of the software programming side of things, how do we use AI to reduce the time it takes to deploy a software? So all that is happening, and also as part of administration, it's also saying how can we make our things we have to do making more efficient as well. So that's what's happening, and what I have seen.
I think in transition between academic setting and industry setting, again, the message would be to clarify the use of the AI, that in the educational sector, we always come up with the idea. We always evaluate that critical thinking. We always evaluate that authentic activity that students are learning some the fundamental knowledge. For example, in an area of the computing science, and students going through this journey, learning journey, are required to learn different languages, different applications, and different discipline knowledge. Then I think with what Hansi mentioned here, the industry is looking for interviewing those potential candidates to join their company, that they have that set of fundamental knowledge, and beyond that they also improve to how to use of the AI to make a efficient use of their discipline knowledge, and then align it with the daily weekly tasks as part of the industry to to shine. So I guess this is kind of a very very essential skills that needs to be set in order for our students to be knowledgeable, at the same time adapted with the technology that can save the time and can helps the speed of accelerating the the efficiency and the quality of the service that we deliver. I think that was something that I wanted to hear from you, Hansi. And my second question before I ask students to raise was about your your startup. If you can just, I know about your program, but if you can give us some, I know that you mentioned that the commercial version is coming, but I want some more explanation around how these initiatives and startup is expected to support our students.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, it's a think of it as a mentoring platform, because that's exactly what it is, right? So you currently would hopefully have mentors within the university, or outside of it from your known network, who can help guide you in terms of what you're trying to achieve. And it could be, you might have multiple mentors, because in reality, I find having a tribe of mentors helps us, because we have different goals, and not one mentor would fill all that and encompass your goals, right? So it's always important to connect with people who can support you in those different ways, and also give you different perspectives as well, because one person's journey might be a bit different to someone else's journey. So what this platform is aiming to do is being able for you to if you don't know someone in your network who is learned or who has walked that path before, it's being able to find people who has done that and connecting with them. It could be asking, just asking a simple question of, hey, how did you get to where you were? How what was the most difficult thing? Are you comfortable, like, if you're 5 years in, would you do the same thing again, or would you have different advice? It could be and it also helps in terms of networking as well. So what this platform is doing is being able to kind of open up the borders, where right now it's about based on people who you directly know. And that's what we are aiming to do, and that's how it will help students. And it's not only from the industry as well. Students can help each other, because, for example, if you're all applying for roles, then someone who has gone to or already have gone through job interviews, who's gotten a job, they can also give you some guidance in terms of what worked for them, what didn't. So it is really, how do we gain from the knowledge that is already existing, but not being deterred by the fact that you don't know these people personally. So that's what this platform is, trying to reduce those boundaries.
Thank you, Hansi. And I try to add the link. Please confirm if that is your website that you're expecting to.
You2Mentor.com. Yeah, that's the one. How do I put messages in, by the way? Can I do that?
Yes, you can access to the right. There is a section at in the right side of your screen where
My
there
God.
is a tools that the first one is the chat, and then yeah, you can see the participants. I guess I would like to now give a chance to our students if you would like to ask your question from Hansi, and if you don't have access to the audio, you can write down your concern or your question in the chat so we can answer that question. Because this initiative that Hansi is offering is a partnership, I believe you should access. Do you have any roughly idea of how many industries are already, or individual mentors are part of your program, and what is the differentiation of your program in compared to any existed mentorship program that they might be available?
Yeah. So there's a couple of parts to this program where there's going to be a social version where everyone can join in, and that's a free version where you can join in and connect with other people. And the other part is in industries and different companies have their own version of this platform. So for internal use, for example, ANU will have their own industry partners to connect with their students so that they can have an internal network. So there's going to be two separate parts to it like that. And so what was your other question, Beta?
Yeah, I just wanted to know from the existed, like let's say, because we always invite our students to access to the LinkedIn, access to the people in the profession that they would like to join or in an organization, to reach out and ask if they are willing to, for example, set on an informational interview or to go kind of some guidance. So I guess with this existed type of pathway for extending the professional networking, I want our students to be updated how your program or your initiatives is actually coming with more kind of an agreed set for between the students and the people joining you for this type of services, mentorship, advice. Is that correct? Yeah, I just want to, how you differentiate your startup to the existed pathway for networking.
Yeah. So in terms of networking, there's a lot, like, for example, LinkedIn is a very good place to start in terms of networking. But more than anything else, even with LinkedIn, it's always best to know the people, right? Because I'm sure if you message people, like a cold message kind of thing, you may not get a response. But the one, this is not, it can be utilized as networking, but the main purpose of this platform is for mentorship and personal development. And part of that is also that you can also track you can set your goals, you can track your goals, and also you better, create tasks to achieve those goals. And you can talk to your mentors regarding that. So right now, there is nothing existing find mentors by physically going and, hey, asking people, do you know? But in terms of a platform, including LinkedIn, doesn't quite provide that. So it's a space just dedicated for our personal development.
So, do you mean that our students through your platform are able to find an expert related to their discipline and field and hope for the professional advice setting the goals and setting this professional mentorship. Is that correct?
That in the social version, yes, that's exactly what will be possible. Like I said, it's the commercial version is about to be launched. In terms of when a university have their own version of it, they can have more of a targeted people who are mentors from the industry that can support the students. Because for example, Peter and I have a working relationship, and just like that, universities tend to have much more industry relationships, and this can be a more of a collaborative nature where industry can get ideas in terms of who to best to recruit into the organization and support the students at the same time in terms of their personal development as well. So that is something that needs to be set up separately for the university, but that is definitely possible, and yes, it definitely can support students and the organizations universities are working with as well.
Thank you, Hansi. So I see Gavin write a note in the chat. Said, yeah, he said that I think you may have just answered my question about You2Mentor having a social media component for networking.
Yeah.
So,
when you reach out to people, even in forget about having an online platform, but in general, if you start reaching out to people for your personal development, generally, if at least you know them, or if you know someone who knows them, people are very receptive, and that can be a very good inroad of networking, because you're not just going to a random person and say, hey, I want to get to know you because you might be useful for me in the future. But this is more open and honest kind of two-way relationship where you can get an understanding of their path, and obviously build relationships along the way with that.
mm-hmm. And I guess my next question is, I know that what could be your motivation for this platform? And it's a great idea and an initiative, of course, addressing the gap of mentorship, and exactly how you describe it. I know that how our students, for example, motivation to be connected, but what is the motivation for your community of mentors who are joining you to be part of this journey?
Being I don't know whether you notice, like when you teach someone something, you actually embed that more for yourself. And have you noticed that, Beta? Like, when you
Yes,
learn,
of course.
yeah. So that's definitely one thing, but it's more than that as well. It's also giving back. People, they've taken a long time to get to where they are, and majority of the people are definitely willing to share their experiences with someone who is not going to waste their time. I think that's one of the key parts to it. If as long as they feel like that you're actually actively trying to use that knowledge, people are willing to do that. It's also in the later date, it's not going to be available right now. Part of that is going to be, there'll be a paid version where people who are going to be like 4.5 star and above kind of rating, that they'll also be able to kind of make something out of it as well. But in general, it's going to be a give and take, because for someone like me, I would like to have a mentor on things I want to develop. So it's not just those mentors are going to be just there just to support, right? Because we are all on a journey. So it's really, and that's why it's a peer-to-peer mentorship, because you will mentor someone else, but you might get someone else to mentor you on the path you're on.
Thank you. That's kind of a peer-to-peer model supporting. It's always a great and a strong way to share the knowledge, because as you mentioned, not all of us might be required even to be perfect in a lot of aspects of the work that it might be part of our daily tasks. So, but we could always come and support each other to learn from each other, and we can just upskills our our capability, and that should give us, and of course our students, a better confidence to apply for the job or keep growing in the jobs that they are going to be involved. So that's a great opportunity for our students. My next question is, I'm just keep thinking at the same time I'm talking. So might be at a student's concern. What areas of, because mentorship is about being, I guess to my mind, is being willing, being able to grow as a reflective practitioner. So as you said, that it might be behind, related to our discipline or behind the discipline in a lot of like a professional network. So do you have, or do you plan, or you already have, what type of disciplines are going to be mentored in your platform, or is just set of, like someone, for example, like me, can share and mentor students regardless of whether our disciplines is the same or not. So what type of the disciplines are going to be covered?
So in terms of the social version of this, it's going to be everyone, because we all have something that we can give, because someone who, even as a student, who has been done something that some other people might not be doing. For example, if someone is good at prompting, and that could be a student, they can support others in how to prompt with AI, right? So it's not set to one discipline in the social version of it. But in the enterprise version, for example, if Swinburne had their own version of it, then it can be tailored, starting with what industry partners the organization has, and then again put the wider net in terms of gaining those different mentors based on the disciplines that either it's the organization or that academic institute is trying to teach. So it can be leveraged in both ways, because there's, like I mentioned, there's two parts. The social version is everyone, whereas the other one is more catered to that organization.
All right, that sounds good. I think I just cover most of like what I was thinking. It's important for our students to hear. So from the students in the room, do we have any more questions that you would like to add in the chat? Otherwise, I'm going to consider this at the end of this session. So my aim was to introduce our industry partner and pitch that we think about our students, how they come working with the project and an authentic project, applying their discipline knowledge through this industry linked project, through the internship, and through a lot of work integrated learning. But also we want to have an idea about what is the expectation in industry setting, and sharing that career journey of someone who might have like not have that linear journey might be also a good way to reflect on who we are and what we want to do in future, and how we can update our knowledge and skills to be adapted with those potential jobs that our industry partner offer. So I think thank you so much for your time, Hansi, and looking forward to working with you. And of course, this is going to be shared with our unit, industry link project unit and internship students. And that would be something that we could facilitate for our students to stay connected, informed, and hope that works, and provide them an opportunity for their future. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Peter. Talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.